Canada's premiers are already signaling a united front ahead of the First Minister's meeting in Ottawa today. In the week since the Prime Minister returned home from overseas, Carney has held photo ops with premiers who had been very public with their frustrations, including Ontario's Premier Doug Ford. And yesterday, there was a joint meeting with BC Premier David Eby and Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. So this all sets the stage for the Minister's meeting today, which zeroes in on trade and national priorities, balanced with regional demands. Joining us ahead of that meeting that starts at 9 a.m. is New Brunswick Premier Susan Holt. Thanks for making time for us ahead of a big day.
That's great to be with you, Anne-Marie.
So all the premiers were gathered last night. There's this First Minister's working dinner. Cameras not allowed inside. What was the tone in the room?
Look, the tone was very collegial. We get along as a group, and we don't get to see each other face to face that often. So we always have lots to catch up on and exchange in terms of our shared priorities. All of us are working to build out energy infrastructure, connections, generation capacity. We're looking to connect our trade assets like the Port of St. John to the customers in Ontario that are using it more and more. We all have preoccupations about our country's security and sovereignty. And so there's a lot of conversation about defense, as well as our trade relationships with the rest of the world.
You do have a shared and a common frustration in that you're all trying to figure out how to deal with your province's priorities with this ongoing trade war. So what is New Brunswick's top priority as you head into the meeting today?
Well, our top priority is making sure that we have the right partnerships built with the federal government to support our energy and our defense ambitions. New Brunswick is a bit of a hub in the Atlantic. We connect and supply energy to PEI, to Nova Scotia. We share interconnections with Quebec, and we need more generation, more reliable generation, and the kind of transmission and interties that are going to support that as we look to build out new nuclear, more renewable energy, and we need partners at the federal government for that, as well as partners from a lot of different places and with our neighbors. So that framework for energy collaboration is critical. And then New Brunswick is also the place where Canada's military is made. CFB Gagetown trains Canada's military and is an expert in cyber defense. And so we're really expanding our capacity to support the Canadian military from a cyber defense capacity. And we offer those services to the country and to the world. And we want to better understand where the federal government is going on those investments.
It's been interesting to watch premiers like yourself and also Premier Wab Kinew remind Canada of their importance in this restructured set of priorities that we have given the ongoing trade war with the U.S. and this new and renewed focus on security. I want to talk in our borders, though. Ottawa, we know, is maintaining this one Canadian economy approach. But do you feel the provinces are being treated as real equal partners in this endeavor?
Well, I think that we've had lots of conversations this year, and actually RJ Simpson, who's the Premier of the Northwest Territories, has been sharing the table on interprovincial trade and on breaking down those barriers. They have met more in the last 12 months than probably the last 12 years, because there has been a lot of energy put toward removing exemptions, removing barriers, cutting down red tape, trade agreements being signed province to province. That's part of what Premier Doug Ford and I were celebrating yesterday, is the amount of business that is happening between Ontario companies who are exporting to new markets in Europe and Asia and beyond through the Port of St. John. And we've removed the barriers that would have made that more expensive, inefficient, and we've got to do more of that. So there's more to come on the transportation front. I'm looking forward to hearing more of that. In New Brunswick, we want to push the federal government to do more on the food side. There's a lot of red tape with CFIA that is holding back our incredible agriculture and food sector from getting its products to the people in Canada who really want to try the Wagyu beef that we have in New Brunswick, or some of our other incredible food products. So there's more work to be done, but I don't want to undervalue how much effort it took last year to get everybody to the table, to get exemptions off and exceptions off. But premiers are working together with the federal government well on that file.
Okay, let me ask you about that. You know, we've seen some interprovincial trade improvements, as you just highlighted with Premier Ford, but there's still been a lot of tension over the past few weeks. Everybody's towing the party line, including the IMF, but there is this known fact that we could increase our GDP by 7% if we drop all internal trade barriers. The PMO said this would be in place by July. The Prime Minister, before the summer break, left this up to the premiers to sort out. What is stopping Canada from making this happen from coast to coast to coast?
Well, a lot of it has happened, Anne-Marie. There have been trade barriers removed, as I said, and exceptions. In New Brunswick, we led the pack on labor mobility. Anyone with a Canadian credential can come and do that work in New Brunswick without having to wait and to pay exorbitant fees to get reassessed and re-credentialed. If you have a Canadian credential from anywhere, you can get to work in New Brunswick, and other provinces have followed suit. We've taken down the barriers to the movement of liquor in and out of our province. We put legislation in place that recognizes Canadian products that are made anywhere else can come and be in our shelves, and we want New Brunswick products to be able to sit on the shelves anywhere else and be picked up. But there are a couple sticking points with things like transportation and food that we're focused on working out, because that 7% is meaningful, and I'd love to see what the number is today or this year to reflect the good work that's been done.
Premier Holt, really quickly, I just want to ask you, we know that words matter and messaging really matters. And, even just a week ago, while Prime Minister Carney is overseas and he's selling Canada as stable and united, we had, Ontario Premier Doug Ford calling for a ban on the EVs coming into Canada, which was a deal that he had made while the Prime Minister was out of the country, or the Prime Minister had made. But something has changed. It's noticeably changed. Canadians have noticed that there is no more public infighting between the premiers. I mean, Wab Kinew had been trolling Doug Ford on social media days ago. Did the Prime Minister say something? And if he did, what did he say that made the premiers change from this individualistic tone back to Team Canada's messaging? It's clear messaging.
That's interesting, because our meetings with the Prime Minister are today, but premiers got together yesterday to have these conversations. And I think all of us wrestle with the balance of fighting for what's best for our province and fighting for what's best for Canada, because collectively, all of Canada's premiers want to see every sector thrive. We want to see every province thrive. It's certainly good for New Brunswick when Nova Scotia is doing really well, when PEI is doing really well, when Quebec is doing well, when Ontario is doing well. Clearly, it benefits us in the Port of St. John. But we each, when you see a deal get done that benefits New Brunswick lobster and crab, and you want to celebrate it, but you recognize that it's putting a pressure on your friend and neighbor in Ontario, then we've got things to work out. We're a family that way, right?
Yeah.
There's conversations that we had yesterday about needing to find those positions of compromise, but also needing to reassure Canadians that at this time of real global uncertainty, Canada is well positioned and facing the rest of the world, being invited in to markets with open arms. Yeah. There is an opportunity to be seized if we all focus our energies on working together. And so that's what we're doing.
Or as my grandmother used to say, don't air your dirty laundry in public.
Your grandmother's very smart.
Yeah, New Brunswick Premier Susan Holt, always good to have you. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne-Marie.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.